I was thinking about the Taylor Trojans and the year that they had this year under Coach Aaron Mingo, the Region 2 NAI Region 2 Coach of the Year, and likely earned that honor because of the turnaround that the Trojans had from 2-9 last year to 9-2 this year. That is a +7 on your turnaround meter if you have a turnaround meter. I don't know about things like that, but if you did have a turnaround meter, it'd be a +7. And I got to thinking about other schools and what kind of turnarounds have people had or teams had in a period of a year. And that's what I wanted to look at today. I'll probably look at my notes a little bit on this one because there's a lot of information to give you on this. Now, I'm limiting it to just 1 year, a turnaround of 1 year. For instance, if you take a 2-year turnaround, you take 1998 and for Carroll, and then Carroll hired Mike Van Diest, and he came in 1999, and then the year 2000, they went from 1-8 to 10-4 and a playoff appearance. And of course, that was the first playoff appearance of many, including like 6 national championships. So we're not talking about a 2-year turnaround. And I also limited it to about 30 years. And it's not because I have recency bias. I'm a big proponent of calling out recency bias, as a matter of fact. But there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, records are just difficult to find when you go beyond 30 years in trying to find, solid records and records I was sure of. And I had to confirm a couple of these things along the way too. But the other reason is that the schedules often, didn't have as many games. I mean, we're looking at 11 games mainly in the NAI now, sometimes 10, sometimes even 9. Kaiser had 9 games on the regular season schedule this year. Well, I had another one, but one of those was canceled. So try to keep it within this 30-year period. Best turnaround ever? Well, we saw a 7-game turnaround, or a +7 on your turnaround meter this year with Taylor. Now, in the last 30 years or so, there have been 5 or 6 +6 turnarounds, and we won't go into too many of them. Some of them, like Grandview in 2000, I think it was 2008 with Grandview, and that was the first year of the program that they went 2-8 or 2-9, I believe, and then went 8-3 in the second year. So from year 1 to year 2, obviously it's a big turnaround. And for a program like Grandview, they're going to find success very, very quickly. But +7 turnarounds like Taylor's, well, you can go to Southern Oregon, 2016 to 2017, from 5-6 to 12-1, and obviously a playoff appearance there. 92.3% winning percentage. It's the highest winning percentage in program history for Southern Oregon, and that was the year that Charlie Hall was hired there for the Raiders. And so an amazing turnaround from 5-6 to 12-1. Valley City State in 1998, 0-10. In 1999, 7-2, and for Coach McCulloch, who's been there that long, those were years 2 and 3, and it was a 7-game improvement from year 2 to year 3 for Coach McCulloch and for the Vikings there. There also was a +7 turnaround, at least on the field here in 2024. So there were 2, but I'm going to say there's an asterisk with this one because for Texas College, it was a big-time turnaround, 1-10 to 8-3. But one of those wins was against Westgate Christian, and Westgate Christian, I don't believe, is a countable game or a countable win. So, it would be 1-10 to 7-3 if you don't count that game. But on the field, they won. So Coach Jarrell Jackson and his team, props to them for a +7. Now, there have been a few +8 turnarounds within the past few years. 4 of them in particular, and I'll bring those out for you right now. And in 2014, Point was 1-9. In 2015, Point improved the record to 9-2. Skyhawks with a big-time turnaround there. Coach Mike McCarty came in. He was there for only 1 season, though, and then he moved on. He's now an assistant, I believe a coordinator for LaGrange Division III school. The thing about Point's wins, though, is that they had to vacate 6 of those wins. And so from a 9-2 record to a 3-8 record because they were playing with an ineligible player. But again, swept their way through the Sun Conference schedule at that point in time. Another one, Kansas Wesleyan. This also in 2014 went from 2-9 to 10-2. And you might think, what's the reason for the turnaround there? Of course, another coaching hire, Matt Drinkall, was hired in 2015 in his first season, a +8 turnaround. Of course, Coach Drinkall now the head football coach for Division I, Central Michigan, NCAA Division I. And a +8 turnaround for Missouri Valley as the Vikings went from 2005, they were 5-6, to 2006, 13-1. Now, this is midway through Paul Troth's tenure as the head coach. He was there for 20 plus years, but big time turnaround. And that took the Vikings all the way to the NAIA semifinals in 2006. So a +8 there from 5-6 to 13-1. The only loss on the season for the Vikings that year, again, in the NAIA semifinals. And finally, one more, Ottawa. The Braves in 1996 were 1-8. They hired Chris Creighton in 1997, and they went to 9-2. Best winning percentage, by the way, for Ottawa at .780. Excuse me. Best winning percentage for a head coach. He won, yeah, that was definitely 82% on the year, but he won 78% of his games in his tenure at Ottawa. Props to Coach Chris Creighton, who, by the way, also has a Michigan tie. He is the Division I, NCAA Division I Eastern Michigan head coach. So a couple of teams with NAIA success in Kansas having NCAA opportunities in Michigan. So that's what I was thinking about today. Best turnarounds. What do you think? Is there something you're thinking about? Maybe we could talk about that. Let me know here on Midwest Sportsnet. In the meantime, props to Coach Aaron Mingo and the Taylor Trojans, a +7 year from 2-9 to 9-2. And of course, Coach of the Year honors for Coach Mingo. God bless you all. Thanks for watching today. Have a great day.